Thank you, Edmund Nadkarni. And firstly, I want to thank the Indian Maritime Foundation for selecting such a excellent topic of interest, and all the distinguished guests in the audience and on my distinguished panelists here. It's my proud privilege and a matter of honor to chair the first session of this very, very important topic on fostering innovation and indigenization in the maritime domain. And I think the first topic, first session is on the initiatives by the Indian Navy. IMF actually stands for the sea, our strength. And truly, the sea is our strength, and we need to realize that as a country. There is no doubt that self-reliance or Atmanirbharta, which is being said in key military capabilities, is extremely essential to retain our strategic independence and also enhance the economic objective of sustained and balanced growth for our nation. And therefore, I would say this is a most appropriate discussion. And everybody knows that the Navy has been in the forefront of self-reliance and indigenization. We need to go much more ahead, and I think that's why the issue of sprint came in. We did our bit over the sprint, and also as our government envisions that we must be a $5 trillion economy, and we must be the global powerhouse. For this, shipbuilding industry has the potential to contribute. It was very clearly brought out for the warships. 66 out of the 68 warships and submarines are being constructed in India, and we have a huge untapped potential in the maritime domain. If you think there is almost 60 to 65% value addition to a ship under construction comes from the shipbuilding material, equipment and systems. And in the Indian Navy, we have formalized something called the integrated planning, that is Ships Integrated Planning and Implementation Board, where we do this for all projects, and therefore there is synergy in lots of projects, and there has been a momentum in the last few years. Similarly, we need an integrated whole of nation effort to enhance our efforts in bringing up the shipbuilding, which is a very, very key sector, and I think it needs to be the strategic sector. We just celebrated on 4th October the achievements and the lessons learned. We also learned a lot of lessons, and really on what happened sprint. I'm not going to give the full form of sprint, which was already given. What worked for sprint? How did we achieve it? I think that's something. That was something I was fortunate to be the vice chief and part of this team which actually made history. Here is one endeavor where intent was converted to outcome in a time-bound manner. And that's what has been important for us. There were issues where we had to take up, but I think the MOD, the Defense Innovation Organization, the industry, and our organizations, the IDEX, NIIO, TDAC, everybody rose to the occasion, and we've converted what we wanted to achieve. I think that's what will be brought up in our discussions today. In addition, I think we've been having long-term integrated perspective plans. The Navy has had maritime capability perspective plan. When we made the maritime capability perspective plan 2005 to 2022, we envisaged certain amount of things. Fortunately, I was in DNP at that time, and I was the vice chief when we made the 2022 to 37 plan. So the next 50 years of plan, 30 years, we have moved ahead, and we took in the affordability into account, and the Navy follows a top-down, capability-dominant, threat-cum-mission-based approach to force structuring. And I think that has stood our theme. When we made our maritime capability perspective plan, it was followed by a indigenization plan made by the Navy, which was 2008 to 2022. That was just after 2005. And that gave a clear indication to the industry where we need to go, what equipment. And therefore we have moved ahead. I think we needed to move much faster. There are issues which would have come up, but we think The most important part, I think, was to think big with a vision and have an institutional approach, not an individual approach. That has stood the test of our time. We created NIIO and TDAC, which are the springboards for our sprint initiative. And the three things which NIIO and TDAC has worked always is think big, think differently, and we also appreciate failures. Why do I say appreciate failures? But for me, I would say there are no failures. There are only successes or learnings. Either you succeed or you learn. And you learn and you achieve and succeed later. Even I think Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam had given the full form of fail as first attempt in learning. And I think we need to look at that in innovation, because innovation is a risky business. And when we go into innovation, there will be chances where we will not succeed, but we will learn, and we'll learn and move ahead. And that's what is very important. I think we've had Commodore Golaya in last year, May 22, had come and met me when I was the Vice Chief. He said we would launch 75 challenges. We have the industry. I thought it was an extremely brilliant idea. We went and met the DefSec with General Khandare, and everybody just sprung up to this action. And within May 22 to July, we had garnered the support of the industry. We started with a curtain raiser. The media also helped us. And when after the Prime Minister launched these challenges, it just went on. And the statistics were brought out already. 1,100 proposals, 118 winners. That actually meant we had one new technology coming every few days and almost 10, 12 game changer technologies. That means one game changer technologies every month. All this actually happened in a period of 9 months. And by May 23, we had a number of such. We had a committed team, of course, a very, very small team. OIC TDAC is here, Commodore Golaya. A small team of few officers. We selected officers from across the Navy also and from various directorates. In fact, I would say our young officers of lieutenant commanders and captains are very, very tech savvy, very, very ahead thinking. And once they were empowered with decision making, they were able to take many decisions. We set up an office in IIT Delhi for almost 10 days, day and night. This team worked, looked at 1,100 proposals, morning 8 to 8, worked in the night, lessons learned so that they are ready for the next day, and then sifted out the presentations. There was a high-powered steering committee set up who were able to take decisions on ground and kept communicating to us, at least to me, in whichever means of communication, and things just moved ahead. I think it was an amazing and unprecedented way it worked, because the industry partners came in. The industries, the young entrepreneurs, MSMEs, they came up. I think they were just amazing and unprecedented. So we have a very eminent panel here. I will not go more in details. With all naval officers, I'm very happy here. And of course, Nikunj from the Merchant Marine, also almost half Navy, Indian Navy, that very, very good and dynamic person. So I have first with me Admiral Uthaiah, who is Director General Warship Design Bureau. He is also the first batch of NEC. Lots of experience and wisdom. He has had a distinguished career. He's had appointments in warship design, overseeing repair, warship acquisition, contracting, officers training, management in various marine projects and also civil infrastructure projects. As a flag rank, he's held the appointments of ADG Tech, Seabird, ASD Vizag, CSO Tech, and now he's the DG, WDV. And MTech and MPhil, lots of wisdom. Of course, he can give you lots of wisdom on traveling, photography, gardening, and cycling also. But today, he's going to speak on fostering indigenization as an enabler for future shipbuilding.
Session Chair, Vice Admiral Ghormade, representatives of the IMF, distinguished guests, officers, ladies, gentlemen, very good morning to all of you all. Thank you, sir, for your introduction. I'm also very privileged to be here, and I thank the IMF for having given me this opportunity to speak on a subject that's very dear to my heart. During the course of the presentation today, I shall focus on the impact of shipbuilding on the economy. Admiral Pasricha has given us a historical perspective. I shall make an attempt to say why we need to focus on this strategic sector. I shall dwell on the indigenization on the shipyard level, because on the IDEX and other equipment would be taken on by my fellow panelists. I shall examine what ails us. I'll examine what we're doing correct and what we need to do to emerge as a shipbuilding nation that can meet the world standards of shipbuilding in terms of timelines at least. The Navy has looked at indigenization very differently right from the onset, maybe from the 60s. We've set up the design organization, and that has evolved over the years to being called as the Design Directorate, that is D&D, and today it's known as WDB, the Warship Design Bureau. We've also commenced licensed production, if you see, of as Admiral Pasricha brought out in the 60s with the Leanders. We went on further to grow on these licensed production to make our own. And we've graduated into multi-weapon, multi-sensor frigates and destroyers. The latest has been the stealth destroyer, that is Marmagaon, and we have Imphal and Surat soon to follow. And you'd be glad to know that we have improved on the timelines. Marmagaon, Surat will be almost from launch to delivery would be close to 30 months for a destroyer, which is with so much of complexities in it. I think we're doing very well. Obviously, as also highlighted earlier, the indigenous carrier with a large indigenous content has been a crowning moment. As on date, the Warship Design Bureau has got over 19 designs in the stable, of which about 94 ships have been built. And in terms, if we were to look at this in terms of tonnage, from a design tonnages of about 37,500 tons in the 90s, today we have evolved to about 2,76,000 tons, just design tonnage. Moving on to shipbuilding, the strategic importance. The significance of shipbuilding industry is best understood with some statistical data. Shipbuilding employs thrice the labor as heavy engineering. It engages a large number of white and blue-collared employees from the ancillary industry and has a significant impact on the economy. A recent survey of 7 iron projects shows that on an average, 80% of the total project cost is plowed back into the economy. With 66 of our 68 ships and submarines being built at various Indian shipyards, the emphasis on indigenous shipbuilding presents a compelling reason to enhance self-reliance and stimulate economic growth in the maritime sector. The increasing trend of indigenization is clearly visible by the shipyards' spending. The indigenous content as value of production over the last 10 years at GRC alone has seen an increase of 33%, which similar figures in other DPSU yards. The indigenization content has also increased from 43% on the P-17 to about 75% on the Pre-17 Alphas. And with the P-17 Bravos, we hope to bring that figure further up and bridge the gap. This increasing trend of indigenization has also enabled shipyards to constantly reduce the build period. The slide that brings out the reduction in timelines, you'll see that from 17 Alpha to, as we move on to seeing the build period is coming down and the indigenous content is going up. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah. All right. With various government schemes fueling the indigenization drive, DPSU shipyards have played a crucial role in indigenizing strategic line and PIL items of shipyard equipment. Over 1,000 crores of the 3,400 crores worth of items notified as part of PIL for shipbuilding have been indigenized, and 19 strategic shipbuilding equipment and subsystems are being indigenized as per the MOD DDP directives. I'm sure my fellow panelists would cover this in greater detail during their talk. Reduction in the number of global equipment is a clear indicator of indigenization of shipboard equipment. This trend has been observed across different projects as shown. Propulsion and weapon equipment are a major indigenization focus under the MAKE scheme, with 15 of the 84 shipboard equipment being taken up for indigenization under IDEX. Our biggest challenge has been that we've been unable to build ships as quickly as the Chinese and Korean shipyards. We all know that. But having indigenized our steel, we are no longer dependent on import, and we are able to quickly fabricate our hulls, given the amount of automation that our shipyards have inducted. However, the S-curve, as we all know, on launch gap starts increasing, and this is largely because of the poor indigenous ecosystem that we have in equipment. The lack of R&D in defense technology is inadequate, and amalgamation of the manufacturing sector, inviability of economy of scale, and technology denial regimes, etc., are major factors that have impeded development and manufacturing of homegrown military equipment. Although we have come a long way in attaining self-reliance, indigenization of propulsion, weapons and sensors are yet to show signs of promise. Handholding of the industry by DRDO is therefore essential for new technology development and meet overall shipbuilding timelines. While DRDO has made significant progress in the development of advanced sensors and weapon systems, a major challenge, however, is the reliability of indigenous equipment, which, especially in the defense sector, is very critical. Reliability can be achieved only through R&D and large-scale manufacturing. Involving the industry early in the development will enable reliable indigenized items, and this obviously has a very, very high potential for export. To summarize, while 95% indigenization has been achieved in the float segment, only 60% and 50% indigenization respectively has been achieved in the move and fight segment. Now moving on to what we are doing differently in terms of indigenous shipbuilding. Digitization and the use of augmented and virtual reality, 3D imaging and scanning has been embedded in the design and construction of the Project 17 Alpha ships. AI and VR have proven to be very efficient inspection techniques, accruing a benefit of time and cost. A savings of 22 crores by cost and 23 months by time in the P-15 Bravo has already been accrued. And as I mentioned earlier, the 15 Bravos, the third ship, we are heading for delivery by this and commissioning by this year end. And Surat, the last, would be ahead of time again by about 6 months. The VR lab at WDB and the shipyards has aided designers in finalization of compartment layouts, leading to faster design maturity and incorporation of lessons learned from previous projects. 3D digital line-out inspections are carried out in the VR lab, combined with a full-body optical tracking suite to verify human-machine interface in virtual space. This has enabled a total transformation of design, shipbuilding inspection, and quality assurance processes. Effective use of PD-PLM network has also resulted in seamless transfer of design deliverables from WDB to the shipyards, facilitating faster production level inputs to the project monitoring while generating a large pool of functional design inputs. Modernization and infrastructure development of our shipyards with migration to Shipyard 4.0 attributes like AI, VR, big data, digital twin, Internet of Things, etc. would bring in quality to ship production systems. Indigenization is a linchpin to achieve self-sufficiency. Indigenization assumes a role of strategic importance by reducing external dependencies and catalyzing innovation. While a high indigenous content is desirable, the practicality of driving such numbers should be examined. I say this because at times I've seen in our quest to meet a higher indigenous content, we have seen the warships floundering. I mean, there are items which are very, very, shall we say, like valves and pumps, which hold up the production of our warships, and this we need to take a real serious note of. During Swalamban early this month, the Honorable Raksha Mantri had advised wisely that defense indigenization should not reinvent the wheel, and that technology being indigenized should stand the test of time while remaining state-of-the-art. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate that the present political and economic considerations are most favorable to meet the national vision of Atmanirbhar. Indigenous development of high-end technologies, their standardization, its transition into defense hardware, and induction into service pose unique challenges. R&D funding in the move and fight segment is one such challenge, primarily due to large investment required for the research and development. This, I guess, has to be met. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Admiral Uthaiah, for a very comprehensive presentation. Of course, he has more to say, which he will cover during the question answer session, because there's a lot on shipbuilding which has happened, and there's lots ahead also. So now we come to the next part. I have Commodore Golaya with me, who is the officer in charge of TDAC, and I spoke something about this earlier. He's got a very distinguished career. He's a keen writer and analyst, actually a maverick, I must say. He commanded 3 ships, including the unique SRV and diving support ship, Nirikshak, where the ship won the unit citation. And I'm fortunate to share this ship with him, that I also commanded the same ship. He was a research fellow in NMF, and he spent 8 years in the national defense as a national defense specialist at the NSCS. He's got a published work on the Game Changer, a primer on use of game theory for low intensity maritime operations. And he's got numerous articles to his credit. He's a doctorate from Terry School of Advanced Studies. He's got lots of patents, which the Navy fielded, and some of them he is an inventor. He's one of his most promising one is the ship detection methodology for enhancing MDA, and he's also got the honorary designation of Chief Advisor Defense Innovation by Rashtriya Raksha University, Gandhinagar. He will cover the Sprint initiative, how it was done, and what our Indian industry actually can achieve. I think we have a capability, we have something which we have to, and how these ideas can change, and there could be game-changing innovations. So over to you, Commodore Golaya.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Over the next 10 minutes, I shall very quickly cover the NIIO, that's the Naval Innovation and Indigenization Organization, and the Sprint Initiative. NIIO, as you're aware, was launched by the Honorable Raksha Mantri on 13th of August 2020, so we are a fairly nascent organization. Before I start with my presentation, I want to give you 3 things to keep at the back of your mind as I give the presentation. First, when is the last time you can think of when India had a game-changing, unique technology that no one else in the world has? We displayed about a dozen of them in Swalamban. Second, when is the last time you can think of when a defense innovation had global implications, for example, for transforming telemedicine and rural healthcare, for transforming cashless economy, and many more? Third, when is the last time you can think of when the stated aim of $5 billion defense exports seems under-ambitious? Our defense exports have gone up by 23 times in the last 10 years. Under the Sprint initiative, more than close to 100 firms which were not in the defense sector were brought into the defense fold. We were working on 166 cases. 118 winners was mentioned, but some of them, I'll come to that. One technology can give multiple products. So if you have 166 new products to export, and some of them are actually game changers, then obviously the exports will go up. So with that, I'll come to the basic structure of the NIIO. It is a 3-tiered mechanism. At the apex, there is a Naval Technology Acceleration Council headed by the Vice Chief. This brings together the twin aspects of innovation and indigenization. Under that is the NIIO working group. Both of these are ad hoc bodies in the sense that there's no, people often ask, where is the office of NIIO? NIIO is a body which meets once, the NTAC meets once every 6 months. The NIIO working group, which is co-chaired by ACNS SR and ACOM Mod. That meets every 2 months or as required. Now this has members from the Navy, ex officio as well as nominated, representatives of the industry, people of tech eminence, people from the academia, and everybody else as required. One very interesting thing, when we were setting up or looking at nominated members of NTAC, we did not make it a condition that they have to be doctorates. Just by chance, all the officers who were selected, 100% of them without exception were either doctorates or were doing their PhD. And even if you see TDAC, that's the organization which I had the large number, the percentage-wise, the number of PhDs which we have, I think, possibly even a DRDO or other than a university, you might not have so many PhDs in your organization. Under this, there were, of course, a lot of organizations, very, very dynamic. They've been doing fantastic work. You'll be hearing some of them. DOI, DAPI, DAPP, WESI, the Warship Design Bureau, they were all existing. And TDAC, the Technology Development Acceleration Cell, is the one which was created de novo. This was to focus on innovation. In addition, we had an extended form of TDAC known as Vistar, which was a backronym. I will not go into it. This was essentially all the out-of-the-box thinkers in the Navy, or all the mavericks, so to speak. Somebody used the word maverick. So all the mavericks in the Navy were identified, and they were given permission to directly communicate with the NHQ, breaking the hierarchy, breaking the chain of command, because for innovation, that is very, very important. So these are the youngsters, the lieutenants, the lieutenant commanders in the field. In addition to their normal duties on a voluntary basis, over WhatsApp, we have groups, and we innovate that way. Coming to the Technology Development Acceleration Cell, essentially it is only 4 officers plus 30 volunteers, which I mentioned, 30 plus, 33. We have been able to file more than 50 patents in the 3 years since the NIIO was set up. 12 of these have already been transferred to the industry and have been commercialized. You must be aware of the Navrakshak PPE, which we are very proud of. All PMKS hospitals not only use Navrakshak PPE, but use only Navrakshak PPE. So at the time of the pandemic, when there were no PPEs being made in the country, we made this, we transferred the technology to 6 private sector firms, and it became the largest selling PPE in the country. We are working at 150 plus products, 166 again if I give the exact figures, and we have 40 plus partners, including in the academy and the industry. Somebody was asking me that, do you work with the IITs and do you work with the, yes, we work with everybody. We have something known as INSTEP, Indian Naval Students Technical Engagement Program. We work with the students. With the industry, and I've been saying this again and again, but I will say it once more, we do not see the industry as vendors, we see them as partners. And it is not just a sound good phrase, we actually believe in it. Coming to Sprint, the full form has been given. It is, again, a backronym more than an acronym. First, we thought of the word sprint, and then we found the words to fit in. It stands for Supporting Pole Vaulting in R&D through IDEX, NIIO, and TDAC. Under this, 75 challenges were launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in the first Swavalamban. This was aimed at inducting at least 75 technologies or products into the Indian Navy as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So more than anything else, it was a statement of intent. So if I have to sum up my presentation in one slide, I would say this: the stated aim of developing at least 75 technologies or products as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav has been met, or to go one step further, it has not only been met, it has been surpassed. No, I have not finished. I have not finished. I have not finished. That was just a summing up, but let me give you a few more. Just pictures. One picture says 1,000 words. So this was very, very satisfying, because when we, this was put out by the DIO after the HPSC was over, because when we started off the statements which we heard, and Vice Chief that time is witness to it, we were told that what we are trying is not ambitious, it's audacious, and what the Navy is trying is mammoth, if not absurd. So within 2 months of it starting, it was quite nice to see that the things had started changing, that what Navy has achieved is magical. And this magic continued. The first development contract was signed within a period of 20 days, which is when we shifted to our office to IIT. And that sent the message down that we are serious. And of course, the academia and the industry, everybody came together with us. Statistics I will not go into, they have been covered already. This again was something which was very, very satisfying. This was a tweet which was put out by HQ IDS just 2 weeks back. We called it a landmark case, because finally, if you, what is the measure of success, I think would be the procurement. So if you take that as the measure of success, when Sprint was launched, the total number of successful cases, I think Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard and all DPSUs combined were 4, sir. And with this, we had the Sprint being 3 times as much as the cumulative of the last 5 years. So AON's worth 1,500 crores, already accorded contracts worth 200 crores signed, and this is just about 10% of what the products which were displayed in Swawalamban, so many more will follow in the coming months. So let me show you 3 videos very quickly, and I've selected the videos which are of interest to the Merchant Navy. I would love to show, of course, the swarm drones and the underwater drones, but I'm sure Nikunj would be covering that. Can you click on the videos, please, one after the other? So this gentleman in the first one, you have click on all 3 together. We'll save time that way. Please click on all 3 together, let them play together. Okay. Okay. So this one, you can see this gentleman pouring molten metal over himself, and in the second video, you will see him pouring liquid nitrogen on himself. So the thing which has been developed, it works, it's aerogel based and carbon nanotubes based, takes temperatures from -200 till +2000 degrees centigrade. And since it is a good insulator, it can also act as an invisibility cloak. So on the IR, this thing, you will see that the Marco would take the invisibility cloak and disappear from the camera. So this was demonstrated live at Swawalamban. We'll skip the videos. I think we'll go on to the next slide. You have control? No. Okay. This is another thing which I think is going to be a game changer. What you're seeing, can you click on play the video, please? So this one is, again, a global first. Ionic pulse jet technology. It is a backpack based, battery operated. He is cutting metal there. Our QRs was 6 mm. He's demonstrating 10 mm. He's going up to 30 mm now. And this will change not only, not only for the Navy, but this will change the shipbuilding industry, ship breaking industry, all industrial uses which you can think of. And I think the videos are giving us trouble, so we will just skip and go on to the next one. We'll show it later. So coming to this, the molten metal and the liquid nitrogen, the point which I want to make is that one technology can have multiple products. We can use this for firefighting suits. We are using it for firefighting suits, hot and cold lagging, for camouflage, for weapon covers. Now this fabric is super hydrophobic and yet nanoporous. So normally what happens is if you have a canvas cover, the rain cannot go in, but at the same time the moisture cannot go out and the insulation goes down. This is, it doesn't let the water go in, but it is moisture wicking and it has water vapor going out. Trials of that are already going on, and it will have numerous civilian applications. So as of now, the aluminized fire proximity suit which we import is 18.5 kgs. This is less than 1800 grams. And he demonstrated live putting a flamethrower on himself. So those of you who were at Swawalamban would have seen it. It was, of course, quite a showstopper. Coming to massive MIMO, and I think the last this thing which I want to make. How many of you are aware of MIMO and who made MIMO? Commodore Paul Raj. So most in this audience would be, but those who are not, I keep saying this whenever I get a chance, that please Google him. And if you're Googling him using your mobile phone, please thank him for it, because massive in, massive out, the patent is his name. He's of course now a Professor Emeritus at Stanford, but he's a retired naval officer. He's the one who made a first sonar in the 70s. He also set up 3 national level institutes. He was the founding director, CARE, the CRL, and the CDAC. So I just mentioned this as an aside. So Navy's been in innovation for quite some time. So from MIMO now we're moving on to massive MIMO. Instead of sending this thing through the entire area, you send multiple pencil beams. Now this again, one technology, multiple products. You can make ISAR radars, you can make space communications, proximity fuses. We're making 2 kinds of proximity fuses. One is laser based, 30 mm, that again would be a global first. And the second is a more conventional one, which is a MIMO based one. And of course, it will have numerous civilian applications. I have purposely shown this board here. In fact, this firm is Pune based only, because this shows that in 6 months from this to what was displayed at Swawalamban, a final mill grade product. So something which used to weigh hundreds and hundreds of kgs. If you see it, it's actually this big and very, very neat looking. Our sprint has started. The marathon lies ahead. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I have finished.
Thank you, Commodore Golaya, for a very, very enhancing and very important presentation. And now we have with us Admiral Iqbal Singh Grewal, who is the Assistant Chief of Materiel Modernization, and also he holds the portfolio of DG Naval Trials and Acceptance Authority. That's a very important activity which he is doing. He comes from a family with distinguished tradition of serving in the armed forces. With his great-grandfather and father, they have had distinguished careers in their own times. He's himself had a very distinguished career in the Navy. He has a unique distinction of operating on all three streams of propulsion of warships. And he's got experience of both the naval dockyards, Vizag and Mumbai. He's been the Commodore Superintendent Naval Ship Repair Yard, Port Blair, where it won the unit citation. He also obtained sanction for the cashless medical facility for naval civilians. He's worked in the Project Seabird, completed lots of marine facilities, and today he's going to speak on leveraging Atmanirbhar Bharat to 2047 IAN's mission on indigenization. A lot of work has happened on indigenization, and lots is happening, and closely related with innovation. And therefore, there is a difference between innovation and indigenization, but lots of work happening on indigenization. Over to you, Admiral Grewal.
Thank you, sir. Session Chairman, Admiral Ghormade, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I extend my warm good morning to each one of you. Previous speaker, you would have been attracted to it. It was on innovation, and my forte, or rather as ACM mod, I look at both as HPSC chairman for the innovation, which is an IDEX project, and more so on sustenance of the Navy. That is the indigenization part of it, and running the Navy. It's an immense privilege and honor to stand before you today, shedding light on the naval perspective regarding Indian Navy's mission indigenization. In a world where military technology advances rapidly, holding profound implications for nation's wartime warfighting capabilities, the Indian Navy embarked on a journey of self-reliance and indigenization from the early days of India's independence, as brought out by the previous speakers too. Recent global conflicts, such as ongoing situation in Ukraine, underline the significance of self-sufficiency. India's maritime security challenges are ever-growing, demanding the continuous modernization of our naval capabilities to maintain peace and stability in the region. Now coming, that Navy has a very well-structured vision for indigenous technology development, supported by a sustainable financial strategy. We do not have any financial issues today. As we speak, there were issues in make cases, which I'll cover later. Make 1, where support of up to 375 crore or 275 crore money can be given for R&D, which was not being invested, but of late, government has been very active, and many cases have been pushed under Make 1 case. Otherwise, Make 2 is the one where independently every industry is offering on its own. We have identified specific areas where we require support from research and development agencies, as well as the Indian industry, with well-defined timelines. Now, I shall now cover the India's Navy's journey towards indigenization, which in many form has already been covered. So I will try and skip some part of it. Straight away, I'll come to, like in 1970, we founded VESI for integrating diverse weapons and sensor systems. NEC, NTG, and SCG were created to aid industries in areas like electromagnetic compliance, reliability, maintainability, and software configuration. Then coming down to 2000, we got INS Excella, which had expertise in overhauling and testing naval gas turbine, which presently is supporting indigenous marine gas turbine development. I just underline this word because a lot of indigenization is also happening, and we are also looking to develop a 20 megawatt gas turbine in near future. And there's a complete plan for gas turbine development, right from starting from 4 megawatt, which will be a gas turbine generator, to a 20 megawatt propulsion plant. In pursuit of indigenization, partnership with MSMEs and industry partners have thrived, enabling the development of indigenous naval equipment, which is one of the challenges which was brought up by DGWDB. We have achieved overall impressive milestone with approximate, this figure keeps changing. We say 90% indigenization in float, and 60% in move, and around 50% in the fight. These achievements have been the result of dedicated units, streamlined process which we have developed, and close collaboration with industry. Now I shall cover the various GOI initiatives which have been undertaken to revitalize the indigenization effort. Now the Government of India has taken commendable steps, I must say that, to promote self-reliance in recent years. And the Indian Navy has actively embraced various national making initiatives. We are the first one to go off the block. These include schemes such as MAKE, Technological Development Fund, TDF, and Innovation for Defense Excellence, IDEX, all of which have played a pivotal role in transforming the Indian Navy into a technological, advanced, and self-reliance force. Now, the Make in India initiative was launched in 2014. Aim was to reduce our reliance on foreign defense imports and boost domestic production. The Indian Navy, recognizing the critical importance of self-reliance in defense, has initiated several projects for the development of indigenous naval platform and equipment. In this category, we had initiated almost 38 projects. Majority of them were in Make 2, but of late, we have started doing Make 1. TDF, this is another scheme which, with the help of DRDO, we are doing around, which has been very instrumental in advancing technology indigenously. It provides basically another financial support where up to 50 crores support is done for doing an R&D part of it. And we are pursuing almost 25 projects under this head. Coming to IDEX, it's another significant initiative by the Indian Navy to promote innovation in defense technology. Through IDEX, we have engaged with startups and innovators, offering them many opportunities to collaborate for very strategic, important projects too. To date, Indian Navy has worked with over 177 startups, leading to the development of more than 145 products. And on the recent development, 76 more challenges launched, in which there are certain prime categories, which support of up to 20 crores is given. There are 5 projects in that, and 5 as part of the challenges. Apart from this, MOD's Citizen Defense Portal, we have used this portal and we have listed our 400 items on that. Proud to say that almost 112 out of those 400 have been ready and 17 have been ordered. Now here, the next slide, which will depict how we are moving. In year cutting short 2018, we were less than 1 crore in indigenization. Today, as I speak, we have touched 700. By year end, we will be crossing 1,000 crore in only indigenization order. We have worth 2,700 projects in hand, which we expect in next 2 years to be ordered. So in that pursuit, 121 major projects as depicted on slide, 51 projects over 700 crores, which I just mentioned, have been placed. 70 additional projects worth value of 2,500 crores are in hand, are at various stages, which will happen in due course of time. And 12 products, as brought out by the previous speaker, under the IDEX scheme, we have received AON of 1,500 crores. We expect by coming next March, this 12 figure will reach towards 70 numbers. Now let me delve into some of our long-term vision and enablers instrumental in realizing Navy's goal of Atmanirbharta. Indian Navy acknowledges that the need not only to fight future wars with Indian equipment, but also to leapfrog in terms of capabilities to match the pace of advancement in niche technologies. Developing indigenous industrial and technological capabilities of paramount importance. To provide industry partners with long-term visibility, we have released roadmaps and vision documents. Coming on to advanced technologies were listed in Technological Perspective Capability Roadmap, which is called as TPCR, which was promulgated in 2018. Furthermore, recognizing the growing trend towards unmanned system, and integrated unmanned roadmap for IN was unveiled by the Honorable Prime Minister in July 2022. Additionally, Swawalam 2.0 document which has also been released recently on 4th of October by Honorable Raksha Mantri, which is a one-step document for indigenization. It covers entire Navy's requirement, means all domain of the Navy. Coming to challenges and collaborative opportunities which are available, as Indian Navy progress with indigenous development of high-end technology, translating into defense hardware, subsequent induction and standardization, we do face continual and emerging challenges. To address these challenges, we expect our industry partners to play a key role and collaborate with Navy to turn these challenges into opportunities by leveraging various Make in India initiatives. Furthermore, the transformative measures introduced by the Ministry of Defense, Department of Defense Production and Defense Acquisition Procedure 2022-2020 have streamlined the procurement process and reduced the timeline. Now, the upcoming revision of the Defense Procurement Manual, which is work in progress, and the formulation of Defense Indigenization Procedure is a very key component which we have just finalized. It is there with the MOD Finance, which promises groundbreaking changes in revenue design and development cases. Basically, it will consider all indigenization as a development case, not as a procurement case. That's the key sense of it. With long-term vision of indigenization, the Center for Indigenization and Self-Reliance, CSR, in Coimbatore at the Defense Industrial Corridor was established to accelerate the growth of domestic private manufacturers. Operational since April 2021, CSR serves as an umbrella organization orchestrating interaction with industrial corridors to meet Indian Navy's indigenization need comprehensively, from conceptualization to trials and induction. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the current political and economic landscape, we have been saying it regularly, offers a uniquely favorable opportunity for us to embrace a national vision of Atmanirbharta. There is no limitations of fund, there is no limitation of any, I would say, bureaucracy hurdle in this today. Everyone from top to bottom are in agreement to push for it. We all are stakeholders in this pursuit, and it's crucial that we view it as an opportunity for collaboration. The Indian Navy, through its proactive engagement with Make in India initiative, will continue to be instrumental in fostering indigenization across critical domains. These initiatives will empower the Navy to develop cutting-edge technologies, reduce dependence on foreign imports, and create self-reliance defense ecosystem. The Indian Navy remains committed to its journey of indigenization, driving India's technological advancement in the maritime domain, ensuring the national security and sovereignty in the years to come. I extend my heartfelt gratitude for your attention and wish India Maritime Foundation resounding success. Thank you. Jai Hind. Sharma.
Thank you very much, Admiral Grewal, for bringing out the Indian Navy's mission on indigenization. Lots happening and lots to happen. So I think we'll move ahead with that. We have with us now Rear Admiral Ankur Sharma, who is Director General, Weapons and Electronic Systems Engineering Establishment, VESI. Not many naval officers can give full form of VESI. He carries with him rich experience of varied appointments, maintenance of maritime systems, and research and development. He's served on numerous frontline warships and design agencies, naval dockyard. Presently, his interests are on adaptation of futuristic technologies in the maritime domain and synergizing cutting-edge technologies to battlefield applications. And his current work, apart from cycling and fitness, is induction of emerging technologies in the weapons and electronic systems into the Indian Navy. VESI model is something which has been talked many times over, and a VESI model has worked very well for the Navy. There have been autonomous and lots of work being done by VESI, a lot of state-of-the-art work. We have also produced successful products, but we have also produced successful tech-savvy officers who have gone to the society and done very well for the nation. So over to you.
Thank you, sir. Distinguished Chair, senior officers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer for giving me a chance to come here and deliver an address on a topic which is very close to me. But before I come to the core, I would be very, very honest and admit that I've been pushed or landed up in a very precarious situation. Why I say this is because on Monday, I was in Delhi giving a lecture to CII on indigenization and innovation. Tuesday, there was a seminar in Constitution Club in Delhi. I was a panelist for a topic, indigenization and innovation. Today, I'm standing out here. I'm giving a lecture on indigenization and innovation. And to top it all, as I look around, I find at least 50% of the audience is common. And to add to all this, Vice Admiral Kochar gave a presentation which covered half of my presentation. And finally, the balanced panelists have covered the other half. So what is left for DG Vesi? Yes, what is left for DG Vesi is to be innovative and ingenious and gain your attention so we can run through the presentation. For those who are new to this forum, I represent an organization called VASI, Weapons and Electronic Systems Engineering Establishment, which is the premier research and development organization of the Indian Navy, working only in the niche domain, and that also since 1970s. If I were to explain the role of VASI, then I would simply put it that we are the Indian Navy's gateway for indigenous technologies. I will briefly dwell on the role of VASI and its contribution to the Navy during the course of my presentation. I will be covering the presentation as shown on the slide. The genesis of VASI can be traced down to 1970s, when words like innovation and indigenization were alien, not to the country, but also to the Navy. It was then when the nation decided to launch an indigenous warship building program, and the Navy was faced with the unique challenge of integrating Russian weapons, European and Indian sensors, Italian CAIO, and an American databus. Since there was no organization within the country which could do such a task, in 1978, VESO was formed. However, based on the resounding success of VESO, it was made a permanent organization called as VASI. The work undertaken in VASI can be categorized into distinct domains, and our products across the domains have been fielded and have been withstood the test of time. These domains include combat management system, combat system integration group, combat management system group, also called as CMS. The group works in the field of development of combat management systems, and our CMSs are fielded on all ships in the Navy. The Tactical Networking and Communication System Group, which works with the latest communication technologies, including software-defined radios. And I'm proud to bring to the notice of the forum, we are the only service which has got captive, indigenously designed SDRs deployed on each and every platform of the Navy. The Cybersecurity and Crypto Group is a specialist group providing cybersecurity and crypto solutions to our Navy. Recognizing the need to leverage commercial, cutting-edge technologies being pursued by the industry, we have created a specialist group named as Emerging Technologies Group to pursue emerging technologies in various domains. The recent induction of INS Vikrant and P-75 class of submarines are a testimony to the Navy's commitment to strengthen the defense ecosystem. The Indian Navy's present technology capability is sourced from diverse locations. across the globe, which includes Russia, France, America, India, Italy, Spain, to name a few. However, the Make in India program has accorded requisite impetus for development of indigenous substitutes. The Indian Navy has adopted a proactive approach toward realizing this ground. In the line of this approach, we at VAC have done away with the concept of NCNC, wherein you are expected to invest your time, your money, your resources, and to top it all, if I feel I will take the product or not. On the contrary, we have adopted a collaborative approach, that is to say, we will jointly invest our time, our money, our resources along with you, and will deliver the product. And if the circumstances demand, we will jointly fail along with you. In order to have a transformational change, we need to implement tough decisions. And towards that, we within the Navy have adopted work ethos which encourage us to work like corporations or technology companies with a mission mode approach. The same is clearly evident from the progress made by us within the Navy and as portrayed by my fellow panelists. I strongly believe that we cannot travel this journey of indigenization and innovation alone. We have to partner with the best in the Indian industry and academia. With CARE at IIT Delhi, we are working on underwater domain awareness and 5G technologies. We are a member on the board of RC Bose Center for Cryptology and use their expertise. At IIT Hyderabad, we have set up a co-development center and are working on several waveforms and on data compression techniques. An MOU has been signed with Raman Research Institute, Bangalore, for joint development of solution and use cases in the field of quantum technologies. We work very closely with a plethora of industry, PSUs, and have arrangement with heavyweights like Bharat Electronics and L&T. Recent conflicts, including the Russian-Ukraine war and also the ongoing Israel-Palestine incident, are clear indicators that our concepts of operations of yesteryears are no longer valid today. New ideas and technologies would edge out our conventional warfare concepts. In order to fill the gap, VAC has been pursuing niche areas of technologies for assimilation into our machines, and we have delivered deployable products across various platforms. The domains where we work on are autonomous systems and robotics, big data and artificial intelligence, augmented reality and mixed reality, space and tactical communication, application based on quantum technologies. A large part of the Navy electronic inventory is of yesteryears, where the OEMs are no longer willing to render support due to obsolescence, or if it is available, the cost is prohibitive. Therefore, supporting these legacy systems also offers a great potential. Today, VAC is inviting academia and industry, be it corporates, MSMEs, or startups, to work hand in hand to create an ecosystem of self-reliance. We look forward for solutions to stay ahead of the curve and solicit assistance of industry with big or small for development of algorithms. Waveform for communication is a focus area. Crypto solutions are extremely essential for implementation across various strategic infrastructure. Autonomous vehicles, especially in the underwater domain, is a key focus area, and we are looking to develop products with various use cases, ranging from survey to mine sweeping and expendable underwater targets. Under embedded systems for our equipment is another focus area. Various solutions based on quantum technologies are also being developed at VAC, and towards this we look to partner with industry in the domain of quantum sensing, quantum computing, and quantum communication. Virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, extended reality, digital twins are areas where we plan to partner with industry. We have also made forays into space-based communication for enhancing our strategic and tactical communication needs, apart from enhancing our ISR capabilities. We have also accorded highest priority for migration to data-based decision across all our domains, be it HR, operationals, maintenance, acquisition, and admin. Ideation is extremely essential for innovation and constitutes the first step. We have mandated our officers and men to challenge the status quo, question the exchange processes, workflows and concept, and which will simulate new ideas. After gunpowder and nuclear technology, autonomous machines are next big thing in warfare, which itself has transformed into multi-domain engagement. We have already inducted an autonomous fast attack vessel jointly developed by VASI and Bharat Electronics. This vessel is probably the first autonomous ocean-going boat indigenously built in India and is being used for minesweeping, surveillance and other use cases. The boat has attained level 4 autonomy. We have also moved forward and designed and developed an autonomous underwater vehicle in a very small form factor so as to act as a micro AUV with multiple use cases. All these projects have been completed in a time frame of 7 to 8 months. Unmanned aerial vehicles have changed the way battles are being fought. The Indian Navy has already commenced utilizing drones for coastal surveillance, communication relays, and magnetic signature management. Before I conclude my talk, I would solicit the reps from industry for new ideas which can transform the way we work. If you have a product or an idea, or even if you have a dream, do reach out to us. We will collaborate together to realize your idea, your product, or your dream. Being a very agile and a nimble organization, our endeavor is to deliver in real quick time. With this, I come to the end of my presentation, and before I conclude, I would like to remind everyone that there are few crazy people who think they can change the world, and in real life, they are the ones who actually do. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Admiral Ankur Sharma, for a very insightful and presentation on VASI, what state of the art and niche technology we are working and where various areas we are going ahead. I think that's a very important aspect everybody should know. And now we have Captain Nikunj Parashar, and who is half in the Navy. We could actually, if there was an Agniveer scheme in the officers' cadre, we would have taken him into the Navy. But he's the CEO of Mr. Sagar Defense Engineering and Oceans BV Rotterdam, Netherlands. A merchant mariner. I am from also done his graduation in IIM Ahmedabad. He's been awarded National Award in Jan 22 in robotics sector by DPIIT by the Government of India. In September 2022 by National Security Guard under MHA for developing countermeasures for IEDs. He holds a number of patents developing electronic and wireless charging systems for unmanned systems. He's got impressive educational qualifications, represented India at Los Angeles for Clean Tech program, at The Hague as leading entrepreneurs from India for robotics, at Slush Conference Helsinki in robotics, at VivaTech 2022 Paris, India. He was representing the country for the year of robotics, where our country was selected for the country for the year of robotics, and he's got various technical papers. The rest you have to read the brochure, because I can't read the whole thing. There's too many things to read. So he'll speak to us on autonomous maritime systems, progress, methods and challenges. Over to you, Nikunj.
Thank you, sir. I'm very nervous, especially after sitting in that panel, because I've been guided by sir and I've worked with everybody sitting there, from Ankur sir, Uthaiah sir and Grewal sir. Golaya sir very directly with TDAC and IO. And I come from Merchant Marine. So I'm a physics, chemistry, maths in my high school failure, and that's how I went out to sea. That's the reality, sir. So rest everything what I did was compulsion to really prove my parents. The point is what Ankur sir really covered very well in the autonomous systems, and it has been very heavy weight lifting which has been happening here. And as a merchant mariner, I could say is let me talk about legislation, let me talk about the regulation. Because every time, I've gone out at sea at sailing, and I see INS Deepak calling up a vessel which is in the Persian Gulf from Cochin, and I say, what the hell they are doing? And the merchant ship is almost few hundred nautical miles away. He would not be able to hear. And they say that the merchant navy guys go to sleep. And the same way as a merchant naval officer, when we see a naval ship, we say, just turn around. I'm not sure on their navigation skills. They can fight war. So I could see both the sides. And it's really beautiful when I saw both the sides. And that's what a ship is to me. When I look at the Navy, when I look at the merchant side, for me, a ship is absolutely a waterborne craft. And that's all I understand across. And this beauty really helped me to really understand more deeply what is an autonomy. And now this is something which we have not put across. It's in April 22 put up by IMO, where they set up a joint committee under the MSC, LEG and FAL convention. And they spoke about these 4 things. Now when we talk about fully autonomous class 4 level of autonomy or class 3 level of autonomy, as a merchant naval officer, I look at this is the way it should go on. And where do we stand today? This is an era where, as India, we could bring in standards, we could bring in policies which were really built up by the Europeans. If you look at the Seafaring Committee, whether it's we have one of the largest navy, we have the highest officers out there, out at sea in the merchant marine, including the crew, we are the second now close to the Filipinos. So why don't we are there in the policy level, especially when we are looking at autonomy? And this is something I have been trying last 10 years. It's been a decade where I have been speaking at the national conferences, at the international conferences, and trying to bring about a standard. We are talking to DG Shipping to set up a committee, especially to study on the autonomy. And this is the opportunity where I see in. When we look at a business case, the Navy is fantastic. I mean, you look at the RFIs which are there, the RFPs which are coming in, the way NIO and TDAC has been pushing across, the business is among us. Possibly 7 years down the line, it was part of the vision, sir, but it was not there actually coming in for a startup, for an MSME to really take up this product in. So where do we stand today there in that aspect? The most important part, and as navigators, as sailors, and I combine everybody together as sailors once we go out at sea, for us it is very important to get on these standards on board. What are the standards of safe manning? What are the standards of safe operation when we are looking at a maritime autonomous surface ship? It can be a small craft. Anything above 7 meters, anything above 12 meters. What are the standards are we looking at? Is India looking at that? I am not seeing it there. And let me be very honest. Let me be very practical about it. And this is one of the challenge we are facing at regular mode. If we do not look at that framework, then how are we going to define? So we need to come up with a risk-based management framework. What this framework is going to help us? The most important part, and that's why I say is maritime is big boys game. For example, if I ask everyone to write your name on a pen and paper, it's very easy. But imagine writing that something 1 meter below the water. It becomes very complex. So a very simple problem becomes very complex in a maritime environment and very expensive to solve. So something we have to look at the design environment. I'm a big follower of design thinking, and this is where we need to look at. Which, are we doing that? Especially with respect to autonomy is something we need to think across. Not only that, how do we carry out the testing and validation? So matter of fact, when we were doing our project with that TDAC and NIO, we took up a dam, got it certified by NDRF, took the clearance from the local government in Pune. I proudly say it's been developed out of Pune here. The dam was allocated for us for our testing trial basins. Now when you're doing it, you're looking at, as a sea condition, looking 4 different. That is the synthetic, the environment, the assurance and the system. So when you put it across in a risk management matrix, there could be a scenario where your data decode could become very brittle. there can be a scenario where huge amount of data coming into a smaller vessel could actually complicate the whole system in. So how do we go about that? And this is a thinking which we need to do on every on basis. Now, how this would develop? So when we look at maritime, especially the commercial side, we say if you tell a ship owner to take out a lifeboat, he'll just remove the lifeboat as long as there is no regulation. Maritime is a very reactive industry. If you look, take the airlines, they are very proactive. But maritime is a very reactive industry. So the first thing for us is we really looking at developing what kind of operations we are going to have. How we are going to train, what is the certification for it. And when we did the spotters with the Navy, the biggest challenge for us was, and as a small startup, we didn't know how to make a manual. So the team in the IHQ made us sit with the BrahMos manual across and said, read it and try to make a manual. Great, we did one. When the drones went onto the ships, we actually dropped around 9 of them. Out of 9, 10 was operator's fault. But it was not part of the manual, so it's our fault. We didn't know how to go about it. Imagine putting an autonomous surface vessel out there at sea. That's a question we need to ask, and there is no legal framework. It's just the IMO. This is the right moments for our maritime fraternity. And when I say at IMF here, it's actually our moment to set up a council on this. And how do we go about it? And when we start doing a design thinking on it, we'll actually come to a suitable testing standards. Nobody has it globally. We are talking to Lloyds. I've been speaking to IRS on a greater length on this scenario. So we all in ourselves, Vessi would say, and proudly, and I'm very proud of it, that if we are doing autonomy level 4, I would say autonomy level 4. How do we compare it across as a merchant marine? Because the autonomy level changes moment, either it's a full autonomous vessel, or it is an autonomous vessel with crew on board. But the interaction could be between an autonomous vessel and a vessel which is completely manned. How do you go about it? These are certain legislations which we need to really look at. And this is where we really have to grow, because if our product has to get from local to global, this has to be within that envelope. So this legislation, and we have to look at the Limited Liability Convention, we have to look at the MARPOLs, we have to look at the SOLAS for matter of fact, how this autonomy is going to act in. And this has been a challenge for us as a master marine, taking a 360-meter vessel, 60-meter wide, 28-meter draft, you're crossing Malacca Straits. The amount of stress we have, we do understand that. And right now, when we are building these autonomous vessels, are we talking about it? This is a question we need to ask. This is a question I have tried to raise at the highest level in the ministry too. And this is my urge, and this is one thing where we should form this committee, especially for the autonomous end. So the question again is, how safe is enough? And when we say the safety, what is the safe speed? What are the lookouts when you look at the call rigs, as a navigators, when you're looking at? What kind of machineries are we looking at? And these are certain questions I've been really pointing it out. So we need to understand the clear ecosystem. Such test systems are available in Europe. We did a tank testing in Netherlands. We had a basin where we could test our autonomous vessels. Right now, if we see any basin here in India, we don't find it. The only place which is right now allotted by the government, we have it in Pune. And that is only for Sagar defense. So how are we going to grow this ecosystem? वो कहते हैं कि हम कि मशाल जो है वो NIO TDAC ने तो जगा दिया है, वैसी ने जगा दिया है. How would startups and SME take it forward? Is it only up to the GRSE, sir, or GSL, or is it up to the smaller players also? And this is a question to be asked, because it's a very capex-oriented business, and we do not have an ecosystem for that. So as we went around, and this is something which we developed ourselves internally, is doing a human-based risk assessment. As I said, we did not have that amount, so we went about how, as in human-based, you would look at any scenarios. As a soldier, what would be the CNOPS operating for him? So we started studying this, and we came up with this model of a human-based risk assessment and there's a mathematical model around it, which we developed. This helped us to define a CNOPS. So we talk about devices or the vessel itself as a payload. So if you have the right devices, right payloads, that will help you to build your perception. If you have the right perception, that will help you to build your behavior. And once you get the right behavior, you'll be able to carry out your task. And that can be single agent, multi-agent, looking at swarming across. And this is something we have been trying to push even at the international level. And as a team, we have been trying to bring it as one of the standards in the IMO committee, especially for autonomous shipping. Now, this will actually define your architecture, whether you're doing in terms of multiple agent USVs working across, or you're looking at a single agent operations. Also, this will also help you to define a standard where you have a USV, you have a UAV, and you have your motherships also parallelly walking across. Not only that, as we proceed forward, there are yet unknown. We all feel that we know it, but these are the unknowns across. Right, our harbors, where we are looking at the autonomous boats in conjunctions with the bigger ships and merchant ships in operations, fishing vessels, which is outside the rule number 18 when you're looking at, and imagine there's a restricted visibility, everything changes. So what kind of autopilot, what kind of reactive guidance systems? So these unknowns will actually define the roadmap of future autonomous systems. And this is where we all are looking up, we all are trying to work together, and we all need to be a team, because there's a huge amount of input would come across from the master marining environment, and a strong amount of input would come across from the government agencies and the armed forces, which can accelerate. In India, the first takers is the armed forces. But yes, there is an opportunity for all of us as Indian to really have our standards there and not look up to LRS or DNV or GL for a matter of fact. As this is a small video of a vessel which we have done here. I don't know if the video plays. Let's see. Negative. Okay, though. So it's a 13-meter craft which does around 64 knots for 48 hours of endurance, completely built out of 3 locations, that is Hyderabad, Gujarat, and finally here in Pune. Built by young engineers between the age of 24 to 26 years across. The core guidance have come from the armed forces, the Navy, the requirement, and it is not just an USV, it actually works in swarm. So as a merchant mariner, it really gives me a proud that I can keep my sailors away from the harm's way, and also in coming time take it to larger ships. That's the end goal. And this is where I'm trying to work across. Okay. This is the goal of Nippon, what they said. I worked at Hyundai and NKK shipyard for a few years there in Japan. And by 2040, they have the goal to have the 50% of the ships to be autonomous in Japan. I have a dream. I would say, sir, I'm not half Navy, but I'd say Navy has really adopted me. And with this adoption of the Navy, we really want to go at the world scale and tell them that, hey, look, standards are going to come out of this country. So this is a dream which we are trying to do across. The support is from the Navy, and it has been a very, very strong hand-holding. I'll tell you, a small organization like us would have not been here if these people here on the dais would have not been there. So I want to once again thank you all for that support, and this is what we dream of. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikunj, for an excellent presentation. Now we will open the house for questions. Before that, I'll just say, please state your name and ask questions to the point so that we can answer. If you want to add some information, that we can do during the lunch time also. So, please, any questions?
Good morning. I'm Commodore Dr. R.K. Rana. I was part of the design team, the aircraft carrier and corvettes, and many of my colleagues, as well as superiors, are here in the panel. All I would like to submit to you is that we have done great work now, thanks to the visionary and the top leadership that we had in the Navy. And we need to also thank two organizations. Somehow, in all the presentations, we missed those. One is that during the 60s and 70s, when we got the Leander project, you see the amount of hard work and the effort put in by our admirals here, who were young officers then, traveling by train, second class. Nowadays, we travel by air. So there is a huge amount of effort which put in by them, which laid a strong foundation for the Indian Navy to build on the Leander project. They went to Jalandhar, they went to a whole lot of remote areas to even build up some small pipes and flanges and valves and things like that. And also our nuclear power port, which seems to be hush-hush. But I think after 2009, once we mentioned about this, we need to draw upon a large amount of experience which, say, DMD and ATV projects have a wonderful contribution to make, and we should not forget the erstwhile, all the admirals sitting here. We should always put that as a first starting point, though in the Admiral Procedure also put the slide on 1960s Leander project, but we need to compliment and convey our thanks to those top leaderships. Thank you.
I'm General Mahajan. My question is to Commodore Arun Golaya. You mentioned that you've done some research work on low-intensity maritime operations. So that is something which is of very highly interest to the Army. Is it something to do with low-intensity conflict and how to avoid that or whatever it is? Can you just elaborate that?
So I think that was mentioned by the chairman in the introduction. That was in another lifetime, I think 2012 when I was in the NMF. There's a A.K. Chatterjee Research Fellowship, so I got that for writing a primer on game theory. To make sure that it remains in the unclassified domain and yet be connected to the naval this thing, so we made it application of game theory towards low intensity maritime operations. So the name of the book was The Game Changer. But that is something which is, not related to this. We could discuss it offline.
Good morning, sir. I am Lieutenant Commander Gaurav from CNF Pune, sir. My question is for the Commodore Golaya, sir. Sir, apart from the indigenization and innovation for the float and the move category, we could also consider involvement of more participants from industries and Indian Navy for the fight category also, sir. And especially the naval armament in such endeavors, sir. So as to share the mutual knowledge between the Indian Navy and the industries. So sir, I would request sir if you can put some lights on the measures being adopted towards meeting this end also, sir.
The focus area for the NIIO when it was set up was the fight component, one. Second is, I think you're an NAI officer. I've always had an NAI officer with me. First it was Captain Rathore, now I got young Ishant. NAIO armament is very, very important for NIIO, and of course NIIO, as I said, is an amalgamation of all various directorates existing and the new ones. DAPI is very much a part of NIIO, and DG NAI is one of the four principals who are there at the APSO level in NIIO. So the focus is on that. But since you asked this question, I can just make one very quick thing, sir. One BrahMos costs, let's not go to the details, but whatever number of crores it costs. Today, and this was displayed at Swavalamban, you can actually call it a mini missile, which can be fired, say, dropped from a sonobuoy tube, or fired from a rocket launcher barrel, or fired from a fishing boat. And at the same cost, you can literally send hundreds of them. And with swarming technology, which was spoken about, it may carry just 1 kg of warhead. But if 100 of them are going, then 100 of them are 100 of them. And you can tell them with AI, 5 of you take off his radars, 5 of you go and hit the bridge, 3 of you go down the funnel and explode, and whatever number is left, and I'm assuming 50% would be shot down, whatever number are left, go next to the water line, next to the engine room and explode. So the nature of warfare is changing. The firms who are, they do not have explosive license. So they will make, he's just shown the autonomous weaponized boat swarm, the various kinds of swarms which are being made. But finally, integrating it into a system and putting the explosives there is something which the Navy would have to take on, and the NAI there has a very, very important role to play.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm Rear Admiral Uthaiah. In the Navy, retired in 2014, January. I was an adjunct faculty TI-80 for 3 years, and I worked as CEO of an MSME unit in Hyderabad, Vertex Engineering Systems Private Limited. Come back to Pune in April. I have one observation, which clarification as well as information to the people, extension of what Dr. Rana said, and 3 questions to the panel. First observation is, like he rightly said, there are 3 PD ATVPs and 1 DG ATVP sitting in the front row. Then 1 director DMD sitting on alongside and port side, and 1 PDPNDS behind me, Rangachari, and self PDPNDS. That is in ATV program, which is a secret project, no doubt. Classified project, but ladies and gentlemen, INS Arihant, a nuclear submarine, has been in service for last so many years, and we are building a more number of them. So the ATV program has done considerable amount of indigenization, innovation, which has helped Navy also, and I'm sure that can be made use of in a better way. What I have seen so far, it has not happened. I was in the MSME unit, and since I was also involved or associated in development or import substitution of items for both EKMs as well as the program, so I could understand the problems there. There are large number of common equipment which they still have not been identified. So this is an observation. Now my questions, clarifications. Admiral Grewal said 20 megawatt MGT and 4 megawatt GT, gas turbine generator, are being indigenized or developed. Is it a fact?
It's a 4 megawatt, there is a make one case already.
Okay. Okay.
We are in the UI stage right now.
Okay.
This normal we are supposed to close the UI.
What about the main gas turbine?
That's going to not to be discussed openly, but that's a part of the reverse engineering process now.
Okay. My question to Admiral Uthaiah: are we considering this in the standard fit for our ships design?
So not really, sir, because you would appreciate that while gas turbine generators are something that is closer to what we can induct initially, but if you look at any development cycle, unless we have a proven design which is tested, we have to go through a type testing modalities. There is no getting away from that, especially for something as critical as a propulsion plant. This would take a little more time. So in all our present designs, if I talk of at least the NGC and NGD, we are considering that.
Okay. One more question on that. Do we also are having consideration for marine diesel?
Yes. Marine diesel, sir, again, in that case also there is a make one case. EOI is expected in November, and that's a 6 megawatt engine which can go from 3 megawatt to 10 megawatt. That's the range we are looking at, which will cover the entire naval spectrum of our engines, propulsion engines.
Okay. One more question on that. In our indigenization plan 2015 to 2030, which I just had, and now we've got 2047 plan, isn't it? There's an indication of shafting steel. Are we making it?
Sir, just to say, for indigenization plan till 2047, we have made a roadmap for first all foreign platforms. Year by year, we have indicated which all equipment priority list has been decided, and that has been disseminated down the line. And year-wise targets have been given. Similarly, for P75 or MRO, we are looking 2030. P75 needs to be completely indigenized in all aspects. So we are working along with MDL. It's a very unique concept happening where MDL is supporting or providing 70% funding upfront for certain critical equipment. So together we are working on that. So like that, we have a complete plan for all equipment-wise equipment we have won. So SEAL also falls part of that.
Lastly, Admiral Uthaiah, you mentioned that we're still facing problems with pumps and valves.
True, sir. I think if I can just take a minute here and go back to my early days in WDB, D&D those days, Val's leader, let's not, I'm not really going to names, but however, have been elements or things that go into shipbuilding that have held up even the, let's say, the floating out of a ship during the construction. 30 years later, I see that we are playing with the same problems. We're having vendors, those have gone out, new vendors have come in. People take on orders without having the capacity to deliver on those numbers. And in all our CPRMs, we've seen that valves and pumps are still okay, but valves are something which is too trivial to be a hold up in today's day and age. So that is something I think we need to address our priorities.
Morning. Congratulate all of you on an excellent session. I'm Commodore Chitnis from the Indian Maritime Foundation. And about 4 years back, I heard a talk by Sri Baba Kalyani of Bharat Fort. And I was in the audience, so I identified myself as Commodore Chitnis, asked him this question that he talked about building artillery guns, and they had just started making them. So I said, how come nothing for the Navy? So he said, from the Navy. I said, yes. He said, why don't you ask your naval headquarters why they haven't asked us to make? So I don't know, I mean, if artillery guns are being made here, maybe guns are going to go out of fashion after hearing you. Maybe we won't have guns on ships anymore. We may have something else altogether. But are we considering, I mean, there's some company which is already making artillery guns, they can marinize them for us?
This was discussed and there are issues on that. It's not Baba Kalyani and his team, Navy had gone to him. And there are issues that same gun cannot be fitted. And they are working towards marinizing it. It's not that once they reach to that level, and we have reps from Bharat Forge and they can brief on that, where they reached.
Srinivas. 127 mm gun. The one is already, and we have already given them actually. They are going to make it. We want the Indian industry make a 127 mm gun. That has been given out already. And Bharat Forge is one of the main competitors.
Like what you rightly said, when Mr. Bharat said about on naval guns also we have expanded in a very big way. Like you are aware about SRGM gun, which is under Leonardo has done a TOT with BHEL, but barrel of that is still being imported. Navy has been very kind enough. We have taken it on to indigenize that barrel. Plus, there are large number of Make One programs on 127 mm, 30 mm, 76.2 mm naval guns where Bharat Forge is pitching in. I'll be covering more in details in my presentations.
Yeah, sir.
So I'm Commodore Tiwari. I'm working with a company called CISB Technologies, a Mumbai-based company where I'm here in Pune. I'm not sure whom to address it to, but maybe one suggestion would be in Ankur's domain. That is, I've been suggesting to a few people the use of tethered drones for surveillance. Now, by and large, tethered drones are used in the border areas, but there is a possibility of using it on ships also, and because it overcomes the disadvantages that traditional drones have. So, in case you're thinking about it, that's fine. The second thing that I just discussed with my associate outside, we have patented a method of testing material degradation. We have tested it for concrete and for synthetic materials like the bulletproof jacket panels. Now, this is a patented technology. We have not tried it for ship-side hulls, but the principle remains the same. So, in case there is an interest, we will be happy to offer that technology to you.
So I'll take the first part of the question, sir. As regards the tethered drone, sir, we are, as brought out during the presentation, I did indicate a few use cases. Yes, we are into tethered drones also, and as we speak, another 15 days we are doing a trial on board a ship, sir,
wherein we're using it as a communication relay to enhance our tactical range, which is a requirement for our communication sets, sir. And in case you have a solution, we are more than willing to approach us, sir. The second part of the question, I'll give it to Golaya.
No, so I'm just adding on to the first question only, and it's very nice that Nikunj is here on the dais. We already have tether drones. One tether drone, 2 kgs payload is displayed in Swawalamban. But we are working now, and the trials will, it's already ready, I believe. You'll be showing it to me tomorrow. So that is a 50 kg payload tethered drone with a radar and an EW system, which are being made separately. So that the drone is ready, the EW system is separately ready, and the radar is separately being made, and of course the communication relay. So all these things will be combined. It's already there.
So good morning, sir. I'm Commander Harshit Tarate.
This is Commodore Rajan Veer, President Emeritus, Indian Maritime Foundation. I have retired from the Navy in 1978, and so it's a long time ago. It's quite a learning experience for me today to be listening to indigenization and the innovation. Now, indigenization is occurring enormously in the maritime field I see today. But what I'd like to know is whether to what extent is the private sector involved in this, and it's not been much mention of any of the companies which are taking part in the after indigenization. I presume for manufacturing a product you go to a private sector to help you do that. To what extent are they doing that? I had a case in point in mind, that is the Stones propellers. I visited the Stones propellers when I was doing the Naval Staff Course in UK in 1967. And there they told us that propellers are very, very extremely critical item in warship production. That's why they're taking us to visit it. And so what is the situation in India, please? I presume we are making all our propellers ourselves, ship propellers, and if so, then who are the people who are doing it, please? Thank you.
Sir, in case of propeller, there was a forest who made a steel propeller for our LST, which was not a very great success. We had a lot of failures subsequently, having cracks and all that. But smaller size propeller, yes, we have Gajanan and a couple of companies there. But for ship, there is still a gap here. And for that, there is a proposal in the make also, which is given a case on that. And a couple of private industries have approached on that subject, and they are looking to work on that. That's the problem. And as concerned to indigenization, our mainstay is all private industries. When I said about gas turbine, recently we have tested our gate with indigenous blades, which it has run more than 100 hours, and the last set of the blade is getting now. So with coming December this year, we are planning to one gate with complete indigenous spares, 7 critical spares, which are meant for overhauling, will be tested and put on one of our platform for 6 months. So next year onward, or Jan 25 onwards, all gates of the Indian Navy will be overhauled with Indian spares. That's the target immediately, which is immediately achievable right now, which is happening. Similarly, we are working with the gas turbine also. So all places, private teams are only involved. Manufacturing part, which I am saying.
You must clarify what is getting.
Gas turbine generators, gas turbine generators, which is of 1 megawatt capacity.
So we will have one last question, or we have more time for it? Yeah. Yes, sir. You can like and you like also, sir. Actually, there is these are all food for thought. So even if you delay the lunch, no problem.
I'm Commodore AJ Singh from the Indian Maritime Foundation. I have 3 very quick questions, which I expect very short answers. First one, of course, is probably to the chairman himself. So we keep talking of indigenous content, And these figures vary widely. We heard it today also from 70%. Between 50 and 90, these figures keep varying. That's primarily, in my opinion, because we are totally valuing or calculating indigenous content on the rupee component of a program. Is there a move now to quantify that in different ways on a value addition based system of indigenization? I mean, how are we going to reach that level? That what actually have been indigenized, not how many rupees have we spent in getting something, because in that, and I've been associated with Indian industry, foreign industry, industry associations. In the Navy also I was involved in a couple of procurement appointments. Because their figures vary and systems are circumvented to just show a higher indigenous content because the rupee payment is higher. So how are we going to go about a more value-based calculation of indigenization? That's number one. My second question is to Commodore Golaya. Solomon was an eye-opener for us. I was there at the last edition, I was there at this edition. Absolutely brilliant work has happened, there's no doubt about it. Now the next challenge, which was brought out by some of the MSME presentations made over there also, is scaling up. ROI, MOQs, etc. So what is the next sort of step that you all are looking at to take it to the next level where it actually becomes a product for the Navy in terms of involving industry? Because there was a question, if you remember, about big industry and small industry, and you very correctly said small industry becomes big industry, so let's not take that forward. Let's not distinguish between the two. That's my second question. And third one to Admiral Uthaiah. Shipbuilding capacities. About 10 years ago, the Chief of Naval Staff at that time had said, we'll have a 200-ship Navy by 2027. About 5 years ago, it was a 175-ship Navy by 2027. And now it is a 175-ship Navy by 2035. There are various reasons for that. One of the main challenges, in my view, when I work for a shipyard, is lack of shipbuilding capacity in the country. You may want to build as many ships as you want to, but there are only that many ships that can be built. When will the Navy, or why has the Navy not taken enough initiative in forcing the government to develop a private shipbuilding industry in India, widening the shipbuilding base? When we did have private shipbuilders, we created such an intense competitive environment between them that they were out trying to just outdo each other. And all of them ended up getting contracts which were loss-making from the very beginning. And obviously that was not the way to sustain or grow an industry. Shipbuilding is a national asset. It's not about private, public, DPSU, etc., etc. So is there any move to sort of standardize the whole shipbuilding capability and capacity in the country from a more national perspective of developing a strategic industry with a wide base to be able to meet our shipbuilding requirements?
Sir, thank you, sir. We'll take your question also, sir, and then we'll answer. Just remember these three questions which we have to answer. And
well, I don't have any questions. My name is Vice Admiral Nadaf. I was Program Director at TVP, retired in 2007, and currently working with the Walchandnagar Industries for the nuclear business. I just want to remind people that when I joined Navy in 1969, that is the time this indigenization and self-sufficiency, the seed was put up in the soil. I remember Captain Chauhan, Vice Admiral I.C. Rao. Captain Chauhan set up boiler making shop for the first time. And we were really wondering how boilers can be made, which were basically Leander class frigates main power pack. We were very happy that everything is being done indigenously. Admiral I.C. Rao was posted to Triveni to have the steam-driven auxiliaries made indigenously for the first time in India. And we had set up a steam test house in Naval Dockyard, Bombay. So these are the seeds which were put up, and the theme that time was to have total indigenization of Leander class frigates, which were made in UK and we used to buy it. So this is how the started up. We set up and we started sending it to organizations like the ARC officers and to the IITs to understand undertake the indigenization. Today I am so happy to see that this particular plant has been developed into a big tree, a proper tree. We used to have problems of continuity of the service because officers have to go every 3 years to the ships and other organizations to, and that was the trend, that was the necessity for the promotions. Today I can see the continuity of the officers working continuously in the R&D field and also the procedures. We adopted the defense R&D procedures. We were under defense R&D, and therefore we could take many challenging financial decisions to support the industry, to support the specialist work without going in through sometimes L1 business. And so these are the changes, but I can now see that Navy has not stopped there, and Navy has done a wonderful job in whatever the organization presentations today morning has given. It has given an immense pleasure to me to see that the Navy is taking forward steps, and that's how I would like to congratulate all the officers who are connected with these programs, and well done and keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So firstly, we will answer AJ Singh's questions. That is, one is about the values which were being projected. I agree with you. There are varying values which come up every time, and actually statistics always you can use how to project yourself. But that nevertheless, the Navy has brought out, and as predecessors are here and there, has done a great amount of work in indigenization. Actually, I think the IMF was, when they were deciding the panelists, they were looking for DGNI as was one of them. They were looking for many other reps, but paucity of time, therefore only these panelists could be included, and therefore I think the importance which has been to be given to the strategic project could not have been given here because that was not being represented here. But nevertheless, the amount of indigenization which has been done in strategic project is phenomenal. We are 96% to 100% in most cases, and it's been done, and a lot of effort is being done to use what DMD is done and to the other places. So those are being done. Not everything may have been done to the extent which is required, but it's a process which will continue. So we acknowledge all the effort which has been done by predecessors. Actually, when we start, the Navy has been in the forefront. It is from 1947 the Navy has been in forefront of indigenization, and at every stage people have done their job, and it's only that a little sprint was done now, and there was an opportunity to say this because this is what had we had this ban on imports 20 years back, we would have done this 20 years back, what we have done. I think this was required. That means you look at your own industry, don't look at foreign, and it should have been thumb down, then it happens. Though Navy had been actually projecting and doing it to a large extent. So these values, I would say, do vary, but the whole effort of the Navy is complete indigenization. And I think the commitment which has been given by the Navy is 2047, we will be fully Atmanirbhar Navy. When I say fully Atmanirbhar, it cannot be still 100%, because we will never be 100%. I think that point has been understood, because there are few components. And
entire database of equipment being made or made is made available to DOI and CISR and shared with all professional directorates. So that effort has also been done. So we are in sync with them, and in fact the CISR has been carved out of the officers over there in DMD. Those set of people have been taken out and taken in.
So to answer your question, after Sprint, what, sir? After Sprint Invent, it was launched during Swavalamban by the Raksha Mantri, sir. Invent stands for IDEX Navy Venture Trust. Globally, it is a venture capitalist because our procedures will continue being risk averse and innovation is risky. We are trying to get venture capitalists into this. It will be something like Shark Tank India with the involvement of the users. I personally feel it will be bigger than Sprint. That's I'm convinced it would be. The days of saying that, unless you fund the beauty is in the idea. If the idea has to be funded, we probably need to forget about funding it. If the idea has strength of its own, the venture capitalists will be fighting with each other to fund it. That's one. Second, you said, what about these firms, sir? All our firms, we can have a CMC for 5 years, but unless the firm becomes big, which is what I also mentioned in Swavalamban, unless it gets export orders, unless it starts selling to everybody, after 2 years, if the firm winds up, that CMC remains on paper. We have to ensure that our firms, their partners, become bigs. That is what we will work towards. On a lighter note, you said Swavalamban was an eye-opener. It was, we were totally sleep deprived. And one last quick point, sir. You mentioned, sir, about everybody's been mentioning about 60s when we started the thing. I think it started much before that in 1948 with the plans paper, which was authored by then Commander Chatterjee, who later became, of course, our first CNS in the rank of Admiral. I found out about this when I was writing his biography. But we keep saying that, Navy has been in the forefront of indigenization, Navy is doing this and Navy is doing that. But I think it needs to be said, we can see further because we are standing on the shoulder of giants. So all the veterans who are here, sir, thank you very much. We are running today and we are sprinting today because we started walking when you were there. And I think the veterans and the amount of effort which was put starting from 1948 till all these organizations, we owe it all to you, sir.
Sir, thank you for a very pertinent question. I think that's the last one to be handled. I'll break it up into three parts. One, you would ask what has the Indian Navy done to increase the, let's say, the shipbuilding in terms of contribute. Now, across the country, the orders that are there, maybe the DPSUs or PSUs, you would agree that almost 95% is what the Navy orders are. And that doesn't come easy. I mean, the Navy and PNP and the projects that are coming up, we have the repeat order of the ISC that has been cleared, LPD is around the corner, and NGC, NGD. So it's a very challenging and it's a very good moment and time for shipyards to sort of look inward and see how they can meet this challenge of increasing their capacity. That again is something that has bothered us because to meet this demand of ships that we need and the speed in which we need to take it forward, it's not going to happen unless shipyards ramp up the capacity. That said, all shipyards have a very detailed manufacturing, shall we say, modernization plan to a certain timeline. Today the ministry has come down heavily and said that unless you demonstrate that not only do you have a demonstrated capability of manufacturing a particular class of ship, you should also demonstrate the capability to have that infrastructure to take those things forward. So there is this thrust, shipyards are doing their bit. And the other question you said is how do you increase it in terms of shipyards falling by the wayside? Yes, sir. Again, we have ABG, we have RNL, we have Ratnagiri. All these shipyards have sort of folded up. And to this end, again, we've had the RM chairing the Chintan Shivir recently. We've put forward some proposals. We've said what could possibly be done to enhance shipbuilding. There are, again, a very valid point you said was shipyards undercutting each other and not being able to deliver. And while I'm sure that shipyards, maybe even a private shipyard like L&T or the DPSUs can sustain it, some maybe based on the nominated orders that they've got, it is not a correct way to go forward. So the other thing that we had recommended is that they, like how I think Turkey has, Anadolu, they have a collaboration of 5 their state-owned shipyards coming together. This is another model where our DPSUs could get together and bid not for the local industry, at least for, let's say, for export orders. Because there they could start with the export orders and then maybe move on into the local orders in terms of collaborative. That said, in collaboration also, we've seen GSL offloading blocks to Chogle. We've seen GRSE getting a lot of work done by L&T. Shaft is doing a lot of MDL. So these are solutions that shipyards have to work out and see how they can optimize. That's my case of that.
Yeah, for the shipyards, I think the public-private partnership is working very well, which examples he brought out. But there's a need for DPSUs to come together and PSUs to come together and everything. I think there is a need for collaboration, or even if it is called aggregation of shipyards and work. So like maybe for the next generation destroyers, positively, it should be the PSUs and DPSUs coming together to make that ship, not that only one shipyard will get. And instead of undercutting each other, it should be working together. And I'm sure like it will work like Turkey, it will work like China. This is the model which we need to go. There is a need for shipyards to do. If you want the NGD to be made faster, then it would be the forward section made by one shipyard, the aft section, and we could come together. I think that is even I think CSL can get a lot of support for the next aircraft carrier. Be made faster if there will be more collaboration than trying to compete with each other.
So I have one submission here. In terms of shipyard also, we did not have subsidies available. So now the 4,000 shipbuilding financial assistance, 4,000 crore which has come in, For special ships, you can get up to 20% of financial aid, which has come under Ministry of from the Ministry of Shipping. Along with that, the other biggest challenge in the shipbuilding is infrastructure allocation of the ship which you are building in. The infrastructure allocation of the ship was never done before, and this was also one of the biggest problems for APG, Bharti and Pipavav Shipyard when we are looking at. Now the government is looking at allocating infrastructure allocation for at least 50 number of ships to start off with. And thirdly, if you look at, if you build a ship in India and you build and sell it across the ship, you had the 5% GST, cess and the VAT, which if I was a shipbuilder which was placing an order for Singapore, I would have actually exported it and I would have undercut my product selling the same ship across to an Indian ship owner. So these changes have also been made at the ministry level right now, and the first policy of a 4,000 crore fund has already come in with a 20% allocation across, and then the infrastructure is what they're trying to place in. Moment the infrastructure case comes in for a ship which you are building in, financial assistance from the bank will be available. But because right now, even if you get a order for 2,000 crore across, but if a ship is not under the infrastructure clause, you would not get a financial assistance. So this is what government is right now trying to bring it in phase 2.
So I'll just close the session here now because I don't want to delay the next session. While lunch can be reduced, but the next session is very important. Therefore, anybody who has more questions, they can meet the panelists during lunch and they can be covered at that time, if that's okay with you, sir. So we've just heard the various panelists and brought out various progress we have made. There are lots to do, but lots has been done earlier. It's not that it's been done all by now. It was all. But I think what we did, that we can achieve anything if there is a committed leadership, there is collaboration and positive attitude. I think that's what the team works very well, and there has been solution-oriented approach. Every time there's aim to find a solution, and the thinking that we make it happen, not let things happen. Lots of time things have continued to stagger because no decision making, and we did follow in the sprint a top-down and bottom-up approach, which was a combined approach. That means things were monitored from top-down, but bottom-up, a lot of informed decision making was done by the young leadership, young officers, and they really came up, and the whole point was to willingness to succeed and learn. But what we need to do is we need to sustain this process. It's not that one-off, some things have happened and we reached certain level and that there's lots to do. I think we need to sustain, we need to create a defense ecosystem which is required, that will continuously encourage innovation, will encourage out-of-box thinking and creative thinking. I think that's very, very important. And this defense ecosystem which will sustain innovation, indigenization, self-reliance is a must, which should work. And it's been we need to address that the processes which we do. Normally, we have to be product driven, not process driven. Most of the time, the processes are so important that the product is lost sight of. And we may decide for a capability, but the processes and the administrative hassles go on, and we get a product which is already obsolete. So therefore, we need to be product driven in each and every action. So there has to be a need for continuous collegiate decision making, adherence to timelines, and commitment that we need to build a capability for the nation. And I think therefore we had, when we were discussing the sprint proposals, there were lots of difference of opinions between people, but the difference of opinions were positive, and they were always consensus built up, and solution was what is for capability for the nation, and then we never went wrong. I think that was important. So a co-development model being followed, which always will help the private industry, the services, and everywhere. And the relation between the industry, that we are partners in this success. We are not, there's no buyer-seller relationship, but it's more partnership. I think that really works. There has to be a whole of attention from the top down, and there has to be a whole of nation effort to achieve this. It cannot be done by one service or others. I think that has worked very well, and I would say it is really India's moment today. There is lots of things happening in the world, and here is India, who is growing economically. the industry has come of age. People are thinking the young generation is doing extremely well. I think we need to grab this opportunity. The next 5 to 10 years are really important for us, that we need to seamlessly mold elements of innovation, indigenization, self-reliance, bring the trinity of academia, industry, and all the services, everybody together, and go have a commitment to achieve. And surely by 2047, when we will be 100 years of our independence, the armed forces as a whole will be much more reliable, much more self-reliant, and they'll be there. So we need to support MSMEs, we need to support all the industry. Actually, the MSMEs really need to be supported. There are lots of entrepreneurs coming up, but they need to be supported. We need to talk to them, we need to give them opportunities, and we need to facilitate. I think that is what the Navy is being able to do to a great extent, but we need to do more. Wherever these things stop, these are where we need to support them with venture capitals. So to end, I would say, like, success is like a train. It has got several compartments, like hard work, committed team, leadership, and lots of other things, that perseverance, coming together, all those. But the engine leading this is self-confidence. And I think we need to build our self-confidence that we can do it, and the nation will go ahead. Thank you. Jai Hind. I want to thank all the panelists for a great job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral Ghormade, and once again, thank you to all the panelists. I think it's been a very fascinating session. I'm sure it could have gone on for at least half an hour more, but we are unfortunately running to a bit of a schedule, and I know that there are people amongst you who have got flights to catch also, some of in the today evening itself. So I request President IMF to present the mementos. Firstly to Admiral Ghormade. And the painting also. Then also to Admiral Uthaiah, memento. And a painting. Admiral Ankur Sharma, DG Vessi. Admiral Grewal. Commodore Golaya. And Captain Nikunj Parashar. Thank you.